I had done band through high school, and when I was looking at different colleges, UVA I visited a few years before that, and got to see the pet band play. I thought that was really cool, but it wasn't. It wasn't quite my style because I had played just quads, and I said, I'm not sure that that's something that I would be able to do. And then when the marching band came around, I visited some friends in the drum line, got to go see a game, thought it was the coolest thing in the world, and said, okay, this is what I have to do. So I showed up and had no idea what drum I was going to be playing. I just wanted to participate and be a part of it, and it was kind of always expected for me. I said, wherever I go to college, I'm going to play in the marching band, or I want to try to play in the marching band. So it was very exciting. I remember first going into the pre-camp. The drumline has like a one-day pre-camp, and that was my first experience. I walked in, and all of the drums were set up in the cage, back over in the cage. Yes, they sat there and meticulously set up each one. I had never been a part of a drum line that had more than 10 pieces. There's 35 sitting out there. So we walk in, it's huge. I'm gonna play one of those things. So it was definitely intimidating at first, but it was something that I always knew I was going to do, and worked out with the marching band.
The first experience to coming to pre-camp, that was pretty special. My high school drumline, we never competed. Everything was really relaxed. And I did an indoor drumline, like in high school, so we had at least some kind of competition experience. But I've never had to mark time before while playing drum.
You serious?
Yeah, we always just stood still. And so having to learn to mark time, and it was like a whole new experience.
Adding marching to marching bands.
And then having like Island Wheel Dryer, who's probably one of the most intense people I've ever met in my life. Like sitting there.
3 inches. You play your drum at 3 inches.
And like I had entire high school career, I always played traditional, always played Aram, always played traditional. And then you get to marching to get here, and he's like, you're playing match grip. I'm like, I don't even know how my left hand works. It was a disaster, but so having to go through the pre-camp and the band camp experience, and the amount of discipline I gained over like 2 weeks of having to like really focus, so I can keep my spot on the line, because I had made the snare line, I didn't want to get dropped from there. So I think that initial experience was pretty special. The whole way I got to UVA was kind of weird. Like I had intentions to go somewhere else. Marching band was something I'd done throughout high school, and it's always something I wanted to do. And when my first choice didn't work out for me for college, I came to UVA, visited, and I looked online for the marching band website. I couldn't find anything, so I didn't even know that there was a marching band. And then like somehow I like made contact with somebody in the band, and they hooked me up. I went to the band office, which was in U-Haul, this one little room. Like I don't even remember where it was. But I walked in, and while I was sitting there waiting to speak to, I forget who the first person I was supposed to speak with, but Ben Cooper was there randomly. And so he sat there, and we chatted about the drumline, because that's what I wanted to do. And back and forth, because I wanted to be I was snare throughout high school. I was like, I want to be snare in college. And he like, you might actually get a chance. We have a lot of drums and all this stuff. I was like, well, I'm definitely coming to UVA, and since marching band is something that I've been passionate about for such a long time, I would like to continue doing it. But it was just weird. When I first applied and came visited, like I kind of knew UVA to marching band, but there was no real like internet presence like there is now. So, and then coming to grounds, talking to a drumline member, and it was just, something, once I found out I was there and available, something I knew I was going to do.
Well, I remember when I first got to school, my mom dropped me off at the Old English Inn, and, my family was very upset, even though they knew they would be back in 1 week to help move me into my dorm. And so, it was great for me, because I got to meet a lot of new people, unlike all the other first years. By the time the first day of school was there, I knew, almost 300 people that, I knew on a first name, or I recognized, and I had a solid group of people I knew on a first name basis. So when my family comes back up to start moving me in, there was a few of the upper class band members that I saw when they were moving me in. They're like, oh, hey, let me come help you. Let me grab a box for you. My parents said, how do you know people already? This is great. I was like, it's the marching band. I know a few people. So the first week or two of school, I got to, know my hallmates and everything, but I also had the marching band to go to. And while my hallmates were still trying to figure out, okay, well, where do I go for this? What do I do for this? I had people that I could talk to and get answers for, and hitch rides to IHOP on Thursday nights from, and all that good stuff. So it was really nice showing up and having a good group of friends that, I could turn to, or upperclassmen that helped me out right off the bat.
Yeah, I think that was actually the most important thing about the band is you show up to school, and I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, so I knew maybe one or two people at UVA when I came here, and to go to pre-camp, early in the summer and get to meet a few people, kind of get at least know some names and some faces, and then show up for camp and go through 2 weeks and we're like outside sweating, shirts off, like trying to drum, learning all this music, all this really crazy stuff. Everybody you get to meet people, get to bond really well. And I knew friends coming in, like my friends, they would want to go like to the first year block party on the street. Oh no, I went with my friends down to somebody's house and just hung out all night. So that was a great time. My family wasn't able to move me in to UVA because they're from Cincinnati. They dropped me off at band camp. This girl moved me in my dorms. So, it was really cool. Once school started, my hallmates were figuring out, what are we going to do tonight? I was like, oh, sorry, I have plans. I'm going out with my friends.
That was one thing, though, that I think that was a little more difficult for some of the band members, that it was very easy to lose that first year experience because, like you said, hey, there's a block party. Well, I have marching band practice, or I'm going with some of my friends to go do something. So that was definitely something that was hard to balance at first, trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do? It's outside of band to try to make sure that I'm, making other friends and participating in other organizations. But I think the band definitely gave you room for that.
Yeah, it definitely gave you a chance. I mean, it was a great way to start college, coming in and doing it. I did feel a little stressed then later on between trying to balance my friends back and forth because I joined a fraternity, and none of them were in marching band. So it was like balancing like a party on a Friday night in the fall. I'm living in the fraternity house. Everybody's going nuts downstairs having a good time, and I'm up in my loft trying to sleep because I have to wake up at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock the next morning to make tap off at 8 o'clock in the morning for a new game or something crazy. So, it was wonderful having other friends, and I made really, really good friends that are going to last a long time. But it was one of the toughest things was balancing out between your band friends and then your first year dorm friends and other curriculars.
I knew I wanted to be involved in the band somehow. There's no way I was going to be able to just go to a football game, like go tailgating and go to a football game. I would sit there saying, oh my gosh, why am I not still a part of that? So I knew I was going to participate in some way, shape, or form. But, with my grad year, I knew that I was I had hoped I was going to be doing a lot of interviewing and a lot of job search kind of things, and that I maybe wouldn't have enough time to devote to playing in the band as I would like. There was some fantastic up-and-coming drummers that were really looking forward to, making their place in the band, and I felt that by hanging around, I'd kind of be like the person, like, why won't you leave? Like, you've already played for 4 years, why you were planning on graduating, now you're staying for grad school, like, what do you... So I thought that staying around in more of an administrative capacity would let me still be a part of the band and still help out and still, get that stuff done. But I also really liked participating in kind of the behind the scenes stuff. I didn't get to do as much of it as I was hoping to because of schoolwork and doing all the job search things, but it was definitely a good decision for me. I did get to play pregame.
You got to play pregame once, and then you got to play Snare.
No, pregame was on Snare. Someone was going to be out of town. I said, hey Taylor, you want to play Snare? I said, sure. So I knew most of the music.
The drill hadn't changed that much.
Drill hadn't changed that much. They told me to stay between this person and this person. So that was a lot of fun to get to play that again. It's not even a competition.
Snare, obviously.
One was twice as heavy. Just gonna throw that out there. On quads, we tended to play the same parts, but split between 6 drums instead of just one. But I enjoyed being able to be a part of the problem solving. It's like, okay, well, if something goes wrong, we'll figure that out, or being able to help out on game days to see a little more of behind the scenes stuff. I did miss playing sometimes, especially when there's some cool things that the drumline was doing, and I did miss it a little bit, a lot of it, but I'm glad to get to stay around and do what I did instead. For me, I really liked that transition because I played drums for 4 years. I had done all of that, and I was ready to let that go and let the other drummers take over that. So I really liked being able to meet more, interact with more people. But I would honestly say it made it harder to really get to know people because all of a sudden now, instead of really knowing one section, I'm trying to meet as many people from all the different sections as possible, and if not knowing everyone's name, just at least being able to recognize them, know something about them, know what kind of marcher, what kind of marcher they are, how their marching skills were, knowing what they were capable of, and when they would need help or who was going to stay after to work on things, who needed help, and so I definitely like that part. But there's a lot of people in the marching band. There's so many people in the marching band. There's a lot of times I walk around, I see someone and be like, hey, just on the grounds. And I leave and I'm like, gosh, I have no idea. I recognize them. I know that they are in this section, but I don't know a whole lot else past that. As part of the drum line, we were already there like 15 or 20 minutes early just to warm up, and we had to load our drums up at the end of the day. So, when most of the band was already gone at the end of the day, drumline's still there putting away, equipment, and I was also on the equipment crew my first year, so I did see a little bit more of that as well. It's like, okay, well, we have to go unload everything over at U-Haul, at noon on a Saturday, or who wants to come hang out and unload stuff? So I definitely got to see a little bit more. So I knew that there was a lot of stuff that went on behind the scenes, and granted, there was even more than I was aware of until I actually got in and started seeing it all happen. Especially a lot of the recruiting and a lot of the outside work of working with the athletics department, working with different artists that would come in. I did not get to see that as part of the drum line.
Didn't you get to wear the headset or something by the opposing band
I
one
did.
time?
I did. I don't remember which band that was for, but that was very interesting for me. I knew that we had some rules about when we could play and how we could play. Third down, don't play. You're not playing anything. Drum cadences in between some stuff. I knew that the drum line had defensive cadences and offensive cadences, but I didn't really pay attention to what those were. So when I actually had the headset on, was with the other team's band. It's like, okay, well, not only can the band not play now, but we're going to have this ad going on right now. Okay, band, you have about 30 seconds, and then 15 seconds into that, it's like, band, you don't have any time left. Go ahead and stop right now. So there's a lot more to it than, I never knew what was going on with whoever had the headset up front there.
Because being in the band, you just see, you see Dave Matt all of a sudden hit.
Yeah.
Hit somebody, say stop, something like that.
I was like, okay, now I don't know what he's going through. It's chaos in there right now.
Wearing this little thing, and the thing, people are talking in his ear.
Yeah, that was definitely a unique experience of, okay, there's something going on. If you don't show a replay, just band start playing something. Band play something right now. We gotta have someone play. So then adding the opposing band in made it even more chaotic. My second year was when you started, and I lived in an apartment that was a Lambeth with several other girls in the drum line. And so we had, what did we have?
Actually, I need to start with the first thing I hear about Taylor. We're going to,
it's
right before pre-camp starts, and there's some emails that are going out about pre-camp's going to start, relax. So people are starting to email things out. And then I don't know what you think you emailed something out, but Chris Gary emailed out everybody and said, all first year boys, watch out for Taylor. Or something really goofy. So
you just want everybody, you just want all the new first year boys to know your name.
Yeah. It's something crazy. So my first
I'm a friendly person, Chris.
Yeah. So you're going into pre-camp, and then we already have this initial impression of what this Taylor Burrow girl is supposed to be like.
I'm a friendly person. So, and that's where at our apartment, every Friday night, we would invite all of the drumline members over for game night. Yes. So that instead of all of the first years going out to Rugby Road and coming back at some late hour and showing up incoherent in the morning, we had them over to our apartment and had snacks and ice cream and played board games and card games.
We were
and
very responsible.
that was what we
That was
were
the whole
trying to do for you guys.
And you did a good
So
job.
every Friday night we had all the drummers over, mostly first year drummers, and then
Mannequins with Twister.
with Twister, gosh, and then people would crash on the couches. We had extra mattresses. I don't know where we got extra mattresses from. People would sleep on the floor. He would sleep on the floor, and then in the morning everyone would wake up and we'd make breakfast and go to the football games.
Yeah.
So we definitely bonded very quickly.
we were together all the time with that, and then like over that winter, once band ended, you know, we still had, there's this core group, not a core group, but a good group of drumline people would continually hang out. And then that spring, both of us.
No, we were hanging out with one of the quad players, and someone asked me what I was doing for spring break, and I said I was going to hang out with their mom. And I believe it was Rob Leaderette said, "Hey, what are you doing for spring break?" And I said, "I'm going to hang out with your mom."
Yeah.
And so we decided that's what we were going to do. So there was like 5 or 6 of us. We got in a car and drove up to New York and hung out with Rob's family. And then we went and hung out with Chris Gary for a little bit and his family.
And Taylor and I had to drive from Dulles Airport, right? It was
Yeah.
from Dulles all the way up to Jersey, just me and her chatting in the car.
Yep.
That's probably where we like bonded the most, I guess. But even that entire spring, like, so we had that instance. We were both doing the Greek system that same semester, so we had a lot of things.
And also
in
doing
common.
basketball bands.
Doing basketball band.
So
We ended up, and then my fraternity and her sorority like had like mixers and stuff. So we had like multiple things, and we're always doing stuff
I just
together.
couldn't stay away from him. Was the problem at the time.
Exactly. And then second year, we were just really good friends. And then second year, we had a drumline house, and like 5 of us lived together.
Yep.
And it just kind of.
So then
blossomed
we
from there.
got married at the chapel in 2010 in the summer.
When I graduated, yeah.
Yes.
Easy to remember.
Yes, and so got married in the chapel, reception at Alumni Hall, got to hang out and do everything in Charlottesville. So
We had one marching band member who was a bridesmaid.
and drumline member was our photographer.
Yep.
So it was definitely bands everywhere.
Yeah.
We have 2 dogs.
We have 2 dogs. Those are band babies.
We have, gosh, everyone heard about. We got Stella right before we got engaged actually, and got her from the Charlottesville SPCA, and we weren't gonna get a dog. We just went to walk dogs at the SPCA, and then this was on a Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, "We're gonna get this dog." He said, "We can't have a dog. We live in a drumline house, and not all the drummers like dogs. We're not getting a dog." I said, "No, I think I'm gonna get this dog." She goes up for adoption tomorrow, and so we had a football game that day, so I couldn't go pick her up. And I literally called every hour at the SPCA to say, "Someone adopted this dog, someone adopted this dog." They said, no. I remember standing at the top after the 3rd quarter. It was a 3:30 game, and so the SPCA closed at 6, so I knew if no one had adopted her by 6, we could be there the next morning and get her. It's the end of the 3rd quarter. Josh, one of the graduate assistants, said, go make the phone call, go make the phone call. I was like, "Okay, you cover for me." So I sprinted up the stairs, and the band was playing. I had to go outside around the corner so that I could even hear the phone. And they're like, "Nope, she's not adopted yet, you can get her." So we went the next day and got our drumline dog, and now we have 2 dogs, but it's more than enough for us right now.
Definitely. First year marching band, when you have your snare line, your ability is matched where you march. So the further outside you are, the worse you are. The more inside, the better you are. And when my first year, I marched 1 off the end. So I was the first year. I wasn't the best, but I wasn't the worst. We're all about the same, right? But anyway, I wasn't on the end. Second year, I came in, and I was put on the end. And so I felt I took it as like I was downgraded. And so that frustrated me a lot at first, especially when the person on the inside of me, I believed that I was better than him. And then throughout the season, I realized, the point, that situation was, if you have a stronger player, a weaker player, and strong players on the inside, hopefully you're able to keep the weaker player within the sound and to help everybody play better together. Because if you put everybody on the end, then you're gonna have it's quite possible you'll have a worse sounding line. And so it was tough for me to, take this and what I took it as a demotion and turn it into something more like, I was put there because should have been good enough to improve the drumline by being out there and hoping to help the person inside of me. So that was a tough month or month and a half before I figured that out.
I was gonna go with, carrying 50-pound drums all the time, but.
Oh, I don't carry 50-pound drums. I carry the 25-pound beautiful little single case.
My problems were actually more physical than, I didn't come in, I didn't have a really hard time my first year. I felt, I had a really good support system with the band and with my friends and hallmates and everything. So I never had, any of those like really stressful times. I felt like I balanced my workload pretty well, given the advice of a lot of the drumline members. But some of those games were just so hot, wearing those uniforms. And back when we used to do the full march down from Hill, full march down, go around, it was a solid 30-minute march, and with the heat, and I think it was one of my first games, I was like, oh my gosh, this is physically the most demanding thing I've ever done. If you had told me that I'd be joining the marching band and about to pass out in the halls of in the tunnels of a football game, like, I would have never believed that. And when we get there, and the first thing we're working on our pre-game drill, and it's okay, so you have to go from this yard line to this yard line. You have about 8 steps. Go. So that's physically not possible without a drum on. I'm not sure how you expect me to do that with the drum on. So that's where you use your momentum. If you get a good rock back and leap forward, you should be able to get those steps in there. So it was, oh my gosh, it was one of those things where this is physically not possible. But they said, it doesn't matter, you're still going to do it.
Yeah, the drumline definitely, you got pushed a little bit harder.
Yeah. But once we figured out what we could do my first year, I think that really set the foundation for, okay, pick what you think you can do a little bit more than that, aim a little bit higher than that, because that's probably what you're going to end up doing anyways. Mm-hmm. So that was definitely a huge thing for me, just learning the new, you're not marching one set and then stopping, or marching one set and then stopping. You're moving the whole time.
Unless you're playing the second tune of the day.
Well, I'm talking about in general. It's not like high school where you're not moving around. It's a new, fast-paced movement all over the place. Yeah. Not just playing the football game. You have the pregame stuff to do. You have the marching to the stadium, no matter how long or short it is.
The amount of focus you have to put in the stands from kickoff to the last second. Because if you play over, you got the worst look.
You played
over,
That was one of my greatest fears in college.
Oh, I did it a couple times. I remember playing Beyonce. I got yelled at. I got chewed out because I was way slow and then played over. I think it was no way.
Not paying attention.
Island, it was like, Tiago, that's not good enough. I think both Rob and I both messed it up, or at least I know it was just me. I know it was at least me.
Maybe looking at the dance team instead of paying attention to the dance.